There's no easy way out.
Some people think, well, I don't have a brand, I just have a business. Well, you do have a brand, and your brand does mean something to your customers. You know, I say a brand is a combination of who you think you are and what your customers know you are. And hopefully who you think you are and what your customers think you are match. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the No Easy Way Out podcast. My name is Tony Nash, and we are coming to you as always from the Woodworth Building in beautiful downtown Owasso, home to my company, AZ Branding Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. AZ Branding Solutions is a one-stop branding solution. We have a team of creative branding experts who are going to really help you connect your brand to your buyer. So let us know if we can help you with your brand. That's what we do, and we're excited about it. But today's episode, we are going to talk about Caitlin Clark, the women's college basketball player that has taken the world by storm. Here with me to discuss this fun topic, who would ever thought I would do a podcast about girls basketball, is my oldest son and our creative guru, Micah Nash. Micah, welcome back, man.
Thanks for having me. It's also a shock to me that I'd be talking about this, but I'm excited for today.
When we're talking basketball, we got to have Micah because we're the only two like real basketball guys in the office. Dan kind of likes basketball, but he's not like into it, kind of like we are.
Not much of a watcher. He likes to play more than he watches.
And especially girls basketball.
Yeah.
So Mike and I went to the men's Michigan game on Sunday versus Nebraska. They were getting killed, but we were sitting like 20 feet from the floor, and we are literally watching the Big Ten championship girls basketball game on our phone while we're at a Michigan men's game.
Which was much more entertaining, let me say.
Yeah. First time we'd ever been to Chrysler Center. We love basketball, and yet we're watching the girls basketball game on our phone. And I think that's just a testament to what Caitlin Clark has really done for the sport. We are big basketball fans, and again, just have never really taken a lot of interest in the women's game.
No.
It's typically much slower and, just not as fun to watch. But,
Right.
Nothing against ladies, just the basketball games weren't as much fun. But, man, Caitlin Clark has changed that. I now find myself, of course, I have a daughter who's a freshman in high school, loves basketball. We're watching every single game, and I know all the players, and now I know stats, and I'm just really, really into it. So we wanted to talk today about some of her record-breaking performances. I mean, it seems like every time she's on right now, she's breaking a new record, whether it be a scoring record, single-season three-point record, assist record, Big Ten scoring record, all-time scoring record, and all these things. And what we really want to focus on, though, is the branding match made in heaven between Caitlin Clark and one of our favorite brands, Nike.
Yeah, I think it's a great head start for Nike. I think it's a great head start for her as well. I mean, if you can get in with them, that can lead to a ton of opportunities for both of them.
Especially in the game of basketball, some of the greatest basketball players of all time have signed with Nike, and it really has propelled their career beyond basketball, building a brand around their name, around their likeness, around their vibe that a lot of people just resonate with. And, that can do all sorts of things for their career. That can help them sell more shoes, sell more apparel, get more votes for an all-star game, all the things that can make a basketball player or an athlete make a lot of money.
Right.
The brand that Nike can create for them is incredible. And so I think this branding, matchup between these two is really it's great for both brands. It's great for Caitlin, great for Nike.
Nike's definitely associated with, top star athletes. And even just having the Nike name gives you a little bit of a better resume than some other players.
Well, and Caitlin Clark is really a generational player. I mean, watching her play, she grew up playing with boys. She plays the game differently, a different speed. Her IQ is off the charts. Her passing ability is unbelievable. And the amount of clutch shots she's hit in her career, the depth from which she shoots the ball. When she broke the women's all-time scoring record, she did it in classic fashion from the Hawkeye logo.
Yeah.
She scored the first 8 points of the game, hits a three from the Hawkeye logo, and the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of why I like to watch it, not just for her skill, which is out of this world, but her mentality and the way she plays the game is very fun to watch. She's very intense. She's very competitive. She does what she can to win every single night. And so that's a huge reason for me of why I like watching her as well, not just for her amazing ability to shoot the ball.
Yeah, I mean, even my boys, all three of my sons are into it. They'll watch the games because it's good basketball. And at the end of the day, when it comes to sports, I don't think sports fans really care who's playing or what gender is playing. If it's entertaining, if it's quality athletics, if it's fun to watch, we're going to watch it. It doesn't
Right.
matter to us if it's guys, girls, whatever, or what the sport is. I mean, I'll watch just about any kind of competition
Yeah.
if it's fun to watch. And, you know, with Caitlin Clark, I think the other thing is she has been selling out arenas all over the country.
Yeah.
Wherever she goes, they're breaking record attendances, especially for the women's sport, but even some cases breaking records for the men's sport. And then they're breaking television ratings. They're putting, an Iowa Hawkeyes regular season girls basketball game up against NBA competitions, up against football games, and they're beating the ratings.
Yeah, and the game that she broke the record for the women's game, that game had more views than Victor Wembanyama's first game, which is one of the
debut in the
highest
NBA.
viewed athletic
Yeah, there was a big
competitions.
anticipation for Victor coming to the NBA, and her game broke it.
Yeah.
I took this a couple weeks ago. We decided we wanted to go see Caitlin Clark in person. I took my daughter. A couple of my buddies took their daughters. We went down to Assembly Hall in Indiana. If you've never been to Assembly Hall, it's an iconic arena, unbelievable college town. I mean, Indiana, the Hoosiers, the basketball, state. Going into that arena, and their fans were crazy, nutty. The only thing I can compare to it is I went to Boston Garden one time, and that was pretty nuts. But a college basketball atmosphere is like none other. And Caitlin Clark's team lost. They actually shut her down pretty good. Of course, she still scored 24 points. But we had to stand outside in line for 2 hours to get in, even though we already had tickets. The place was sold out, and the fans were insane. And just to see the amount of attention she is garnering is just unbelievable. I can't remember a college basketball player, men's or women's, that have really garnered that kind of attention. Maybe Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
But, man, there hasn't really been a whole lot of college players that have garnered that much of attention. It's been really, really cool to watch. So, obviously, this is all coming on the heels of her first breaking the women's all-time scoring record. And then she goes up just recently against Ohio State, number 2, who had just beat them a few weeks ago, number 2 in the nation, and coming off a couple disappointing losses to Nebraska and Indiana. I think it was Nebraska. Doesn't matter, but she goes in, all the pressure on her to break not only the women's record, but to break the all-time scoring record, Pete Maravich's record, who averaged 44 points a game in college. And she's going up against that, and you think all the pressure in the world, and she still drops 35 points and breaks the record.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's very impressive. And the time frame, I think, for both was somewhat similar. I know, Pete Maravich's record in its day was incredible. I mean, even still to this day is incredible. But for her to take that over and, play that game with nothing in her head, that's one of the fun parts about watching is it doesn't seem like it gets to her very often.
The big moments. She loves the big moments, and it doesn't seem to phase her. And, Pistol Pete, The Pistol was one of my favorite movies growing up. I love that movie. I used to watch it a couple times a week.
Try to do those drills all the time.
Try to do
Dribbling on
the drills,
train tracks, up the
especially
stairs.
in the 80s and 90s, just blown away by those drills. And they don't seem as impressive today, but in his time, he was doing things that no one had ever seen.
Yeah.
And then averaging 44 points a game in college is
And
unreal.
with a high percentage rating too, high efficiency rating.
Well, he only did it in 3 seasons, but I think the biggest difference, people say, well, it's not fair because she had 4 seasons, he had 3 seasons, and of course, breaking the record is breaking the record. I would say the one thing is Pete Maravich averaged 39 shots a game.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Clark's averaging 20 shots a game, 21 shots a game. And so she is also doing it with very high efficiency. And, someone did some stats that showed if they took away her 3-pointers and took the number of shots, that she still would have been pretty close to the record anyways. I don't know how all that works, but either way, both are incredibly impressive. I don't think we'll ever see anyone average 44 points a game in college again.
It was also said, he didn't have the 3-point line in his day. I know it's a little off topic, but it was said that he probably would average around close to 12 3-pointers a game if they had the 3-point line in his day. So incredible stuff he was doing back then, which led a lot of the reasons people are so good today. So.
Well, let's talk about Nike's swift response. Of course, Nike signed Caitlin Clark, not just this year. I think it was last year they signed her to an NIL deal. And her shoe game is incredible. Most of the time she's wearing Kobe's.
Kobe's.
But some of the shoes she's, worn this year are pretty cool. As a sneaker person, her sneaker game is on point.
Yeah.
Of course, I love any of the Kobe's that she's wearing. She loves Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality. But Nike's swift response. So they had put up some billboards around the city prior to her record, just with critics about her, things that people said she could never do or said that she wouldn't do. And then the night she broke the record, they put out this billboard, which you'll see on the screen here. But it's a 7-story billboard of Caitlin Clark taking that record-breaking shot from the logo. By the way, they put number 22 on the court, so it will forever be there, that spot. I saw a men's team in there on TikTok the other day, and all the guys were shooting from that spot to try to make one, and like only 1 or 2 of the guys on the team could make it.
Yeah.
It's a long shot.
It's impressive. It's very impressive.
And she just did that in motion, and she does it every game.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about the billboard, you see that, but then several blocks away, off to the right there on a parking garage, they put another billboard of a backboard, and it says, "This was never a long shot."
Genius.
Which is brilliant. I mean, that is just brilliant branding. I mean, she's known for her long shots. Of course, all the critics say, she'll never break the record. It's too big for her, blah, blah, blah. And so for Nike to be like on the spot with that and to not just brand, obviously they got the Hawkeye logo, they got the Nike logo, it's all basketball, they got the Nike shoes, of course they sponsor the uniforms, all the things. But even the verbiage of that campaign, this was never a long shot. That it shows her shooting like 3 city blocks. Brilliant.
I like the direction she's going, like I said, also not for her skill, but Nike can obviously see themselves, like the mentality that she has there, like this is something that she's going to be great at and something she's going to work at really hard to make her sport even better than it is before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think she's going to bring a lot of attention to the women, to the WNBA, which she's declared she's going to the WNBA next year. I think she's going to bring a lot of attention there. That league needs some attention. They're not selling out arenas. They're struggling to get attendance. They're struggling to get fans. So, hopefully Caitlin Clark can bring some attention there. She'll probably get drafted by the Indiana Fever. Indiana, again, a basketball state. So we'll see what happens. But another cool thing about this is I read somewhere, and I don't know how true it is because I can't measure it, but somebody said that they measured the trajectory. If that shot were to actually go up in the air and come down, they put the billboard over to the spot where that would actually come into the basket. Now, that might be a stretch, but if they did that, that is absolutely brilliant.
If that's true, that's amazing, but, I mean, that's hard to tell.
As a branding nerd, I say that all the time. I'm a branding nerd. I love all things branding. I love logos. I love design. This is just awesome to me.
Yeah.
Like, I really like this. Nike knocked it out of the park, and it's just. And this is right in Iowa City, so you see the size of the people, and it's this huge 7-story billboard. It's just so cool, and they were right on the spot with that. So, her impact on the game of basketball is been the game of women's basketball, especially. It's really transcended gender. It's transcended stereotypes of what people say. And people are tuning in. People are watching. People want to see it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the night she broke the women's record, they came out with this shirt right here. It says, "You break it, you own it." All the players were wearing this shirt as a shooting shirt. It has 22 Clark on the back. And then they had a few people, like her family, were wearing it in the stands. And then as soon as the game was over, Fanatics and Nike put it up on their website. And it was one of the fastest shirts of the year to sell out. So that just shows you the fandom that she's really, really carrying with her.
Yeah, and it's transcending, men's basketball and women's basketball. It's just good basketball overall. It doesn't matter, what it is in that area. She's, making it so everyone can watch it.
It's good basketball. It's good to watch. And again, going back to Nike, you think about the greatest basketball players of all time, most of them have signed with Nike.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, does that collaboration with a strong brand like that, does that help propel the image of a player? Does that change the perception? If people associate Nike with greatness, the power of a brand, right? If people associate that brand of Nike as greatness with a player, well, they're a Nike athlete, so they must be good, and then people want to wear their merch and people want to buy their shoes, does that change the perception and even maybe make us inflate how good they actually were?
Yeah. No, I think definitely in my mind it has that effect to it because it is associated with greatness. And I know some players that are up and coming, and I hear they sign with Adidas or Under Armour. That's kind of a bummer.
Right.
I feel like the legacy that you leave with that is not going to be as great as it could have been. So it definitely is a strategic move of legacy with that.
Well, and your favorite player, Steph Curry,
Yeah.
signed with Under Armour because he wanted to write a Bible verse on his shoes, and Nike told him no, apparently.
Yeah.
We've read that. So he decided to go with Under Armour. And, because of that, doesn't necessarily have the same appeal with selling sneakers.
Yeah.
His jerseys still sell, but the jersey has the Nike swoosh on it.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, would that have changed him? Would it have put him at a higher level in the GOAT conversation? You never know. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like people tend to put those Nike athletes up there.
And I think the conversation is changing, and I think he is a big part of that because
He's definitely propelled Under Armour.
he has definitely propelled them, especially their athlete section. So they are definitely on the up and coming, but I think it's because of him. But still, I would always love to see him be with Nike because that's kind of where I lean towards. But
If you've ever seen the movie Air, great movie, go watch it. It shows how Nike signing Michael Jordan completely changed that brand.
Yeah,
So the collaboration between an athlete and a brand completely changed it. And of course, the Jordan brand, you're wearing some Jordan 3s today. I don't have any Jordans on, but I do have some Nikes. Wear Jordans all the time. But what Jordan did for Nike and what Nike did for Jordan was just an absolute win, right? And Jordan has made, and Nike has made billions of dollars off that collaboration. And I'll be curious to see, if Caitlin Clark can do the same thing. Now, Under Armour signing Steph Curry, again, has propelled them. They were really not any type of a basketball brand. They were really a football brand.
Yeah.
And has really gotten them into the game of basketball, which is where a lot of lifestyle brands come from, is from basketball athletes.
Yeah,
People
yep.
follow those things. So
well, it's really the only sport where the athletic wear can be kind of worn outside of the sport.
yeah. So I mean, what Nike does is not just put out cool images or make cool merch, but they really know how to tell the story of the athlete and their response time. I mean, this billboard came up, the day she broke the men's record. Now, the photo is from when she had broke the women's record, but they were on the spot. You know, they were Johnny on the spot with deciding this is a cool story. We got to tell. Even this one, if you break it, you own it.
Yeah.
What a great, campaign. It's out that night. The game is over. Go on to Fanatics and buy it right now. We're telling the story.
Yeah.
And then the long shot, telling the story.
Even from the beginning, I mean, you think of the Air Jordan mantra or the logo, even to come up with that in the beginning of their company, they've had this legacy for a long time now.
Yeah, and they've tried the Air something with other people. I mean, the Air Max maybe worked, but they've tried the Air, and it really worked with Jordan because it told his story. And so that's something that, again, people resonate with. When it comes to your brand, you got to tell your story. You got to let people know what you're about. You have to be in the moment. You have to be on top of things, and that's what will make people resonate with your brand. And obviously, to do what Nike has done seems monumental. But why can't you do something like that? I mean, Nike's been around since the 70s. So, I mean, they've had this thing for 50 plus years. And so don't get frustrated if you've been doing your brand for a couple years and it hasn't taken off yet. It takes time. Tell the stories, do the right things, keep the things growing, and you'll be good. Now, I want to talk just for a minute to your opinion is whether or not you think Caitlin Clark's appeal is going to transfer over to the WNBA. Now, we know the WNBA is a struggling league. Mm-hmm. They are not getting the fan support that they need really to even make that a profitable league. The NBA subsidizes the league so that it stays going. There's not nearly as many cities that have a WNBA team as an NBA team.
Right.
But can a generational player like Caitlin Clark change that? Yeah. Can she, with this partnership? There's only one female athlete, basketball player, that has her own shoe, and that's Sabrina Ionescu. And it really hasn't been that popular. She's a great player, great shooter, but hasn't really done that much.
Yeah, her shoe has definitely been on the up and coming, and she's had, this year she was in 3-point contest with Steph Curry, so that has definitely helped that in a way. As far as her translating to the WNBA, in a way she's like a star among stars when she goes to the WNBA. Now she's kind of stands out because she's, as I feel, leagues above her competition.
Sure.
Now, when you put the best players from each team on a team in the WNBA, that's something that you'll have to overcome.
Do you think she'll be as dominant in the NBA as she's been in college? I mean, she's averaging like 34 points a game in college. Not likely that she'll do that in the WNBA, maybe in her first few years. But do you think she'll pan out to be the player in the WNBA that she is in college, and why or why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as her going into it, she'll definitely have the same mentality, and I think she'll be overcome the pressures that are put on her. Now, as far as her competition, I definitely know there is some not hate, but some anger towards her as she's coming
Jealousy?
up. A little bit of jealousy, yeah, more jealousy towards her coming up, thinking that, she's going to take over the game and she's going to become the face of the league, which I think is a good thing, but I'm sure the players don't feel that way as
Sure.
well. So I think she'll definitely have a target on her back, but I think she'll overcome that. I think she will pan out.
Well, I think when it comes to professional sports, and I've said this to my players, all the time, I've talked to you about this. If you look at an NBA bench, all 12 guys sitting on that bench at one time were the best player on a Division I college basketball team or a G League team or a professional overseas team. They were the alpha on their team at some point. And there's some of them never even get in the game. And so the difference between like a Steph Curry or a LeBron James or a Kevin Durant and then like the 12th, 11th or 12th guy coming off the bench, the difference is not just skill.
Yeah.
They're all incredibly skilled. I mean, I've had the opportunity to play with some D1 college players. I've had the opportunity to be up close to some former NBA players, never played against them. And the level of ability and skill, even for guys you've never heard of, is just unbelievable. You go to a game before and watch the warm-ups, and these guys shoot 90% during warm-ups. It's unbelievable. And so I think the difference between somebody who's a phenomenal basketball player and somebody who gets in that GOAT status, somebody who gets in that really great perennial all-star, it's mentality.
Yep.
It's confidence. It's liking the big moment. It's liking the spotlight. It's being able to handle the pressure. And Caitlin Clark has been able to exhibit that she's got that gene.
Yeah, you can only go so much back and forth about stats because you can go back and forth about stats all the time. But the GOAT has to have that undeniable quality about them that sets them apart. And I think she definitely has that in her. So I think she will be able to translate for that reason.
Yeah, I think she is going to be great in the WNBA. I don't think it's going to take a long time. I think she's going to be one of the best players early on, and I think it won't be long before she will be the best player in the WNBA. Of course, the skill level is higher. The speed of the game is probably higher. Obviously, the talent level is higher. So it's going to be playing the best of the best, but I think she will get there, and I think her game will translate. And I think it's going to be incredible for the WNBA. So my opinion is, number one, Nike, great job.
Yeah.
Nike, you may like Nike, you may hate Nike. I don't like everything that they stand for necessarily, but I love, from a brand standpoint, Nike gets it, man. They do it right. Their designs are sharp, they're clean, they're crisp, and the story is always there. And so I think there are brighter days ahead for the WNBA with Caitlin Clark and Nike kind of leading the charge.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bright future ahead.
So as a girl dad, as a guy who has a daughter coming up who absolutely loves basketball, I'm excited. I wish now that the Detroit Shock still had a team so that we could go watch some games here in Michigan. Indianapolis isn't too far away, so maybe we'll go watch some Indiana Fever games, or maybe we'll go to Chicago, watch the Chicago Sky.
I think so.
Now I got to learn the teams, or at least where we got to go to watch some games. It was a lot of fun watching her in person. But I know for me, I don't think I have ever in my life watched a WNBA game.
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
Never watched one. So at minimum, Caitlin Clark going to WNBA is going to get me to watch some WNBA games. And again, I'm not knocking the WNBA. I just don't find it to be very entertaining. I find the quality of basketball to be low, the speed of the game to be low. As a fan of basketball, it's just not fun for me to watch. And I'm not criticizing. I'm not anti-women's sports. I coach girls basketball, for crying out loud. My daughter loves the game. But I just don't find it entertaining. Yeah. And apparently a lot of other people don't either because they don't fill up crowds. And so this isn't about what I think about women's sports. This is about looking forward to a generational player like Caitlin Clark with Nike at her side going in and really taking over this thing and making it more exciting to watch.
Well, coming from a point of I have watched the games with, your daughter, my sister, Lydia. And I think it's a great, something she can look up to, because if you show her a player like LeBron James or Michael Jordan or some of these guys, like the level of athletic ability, she'll never be able to reach that. I'll never be able to reach that. She just thinks
it's unattainable.
Right.
Yeah.
But with Caitlin Clark, she's not necessarily super athletic, but she's got all these skills that she can do outside of that any athletic girl can attain.
It gives little girls something to look up to.
Something to look forward to.
It's fun. I love watching the games because you always see these little 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old girls with their Caitlin Clark jerseys just absolutely fangirling out about this basketball player they look up to. And that was me as a young boy looking up to the players that I, were icons and going to games and buying their jerseys. And it's cool to see young girls doing that. And, in anticipation. And I guarantee you, because she's raised the play, the level of play, you're going to start to see in the next 10 years just like what the Dream Team did for Europe.
Yeah.
That young European kids got to see the Dream Team come and wanted to be that, and now the NBA is filled with
Right.
European players. I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see a lot of the level of skill in the girls' game is going to go up tremendously,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's going to be due because of Caitlin Clark.
Well, and that happened in the NBA as well. You hear some former players talking about how Michael Jordan, brought all this attention to the league, which made them more money, which starts making better players. So, if they can have the same success with Caitlin Clark, it can be huge for that league.
The last thing is I'm excited to see. I'm sure that she's going to have a signature shoe.
Yeah.
Every year when I have to pick out basketball shoes for Lydia, she's always got to pick a guy's shoe because this year they had Sabrina's. She didn't like it, so she went with a LeBron shoe that she liked. She just doesn't like the look. So I'm looking forward to seeing how if Caitlin Clark can break through into the sneaker world and sell sneakers and get young girls and even guys to buy the sneakers. I think that'll be cool to see. All right, we want to give a shout out to one of our season sponsors, Delk Siding. Are you in need of some siding solutions for your new home, commercial building, or insurance repairs? Look no further than Delk Siding Solutions. Their team of experts is dedicated to providing professional and reliable services to their clients in Lansing, Owasso, Flint, and all the surrounding areas. I recommend you go check them out. Whether you need full siding replacements, new building insulation, or damage repair, they can help you. Contact them today to schedule a consultation and estimate. We put their website right here. They will work with you closely to understand your needs and provide you with the best possible solutions to meet your budget and timeline. Let Delk Siding Solutions take care of all your siding needs. Highly recommended. Go check out Delk Siding Solutions. So, Nike, Caitlin Clark, good job. Branding match made in heaven. I think it's going to be cool. I think it was the right choice to go with Nike. I think it was smart of Nike to get on this early and get the game rolling. I think it's drawing a lot of eyes, bringing a lot of eyes to Caitlin Clark. I am currently wearing a Caitlin Clark shirt. I mean, who would have thought the days you would ever see that? My boys only understand how much I have not been into that. So, excited about it. Looking forward to the collaboration, and we'll see how it goes. Now, as we do in each episode, we decided to rank something. So we said, let's rank our top 5 Nike athletes, but not just by how good of an athlete they were, but whose brand we liked the best. Right? That's how we were going to rank it.
Whose
So
gear was the best?
whose collaboration with Nike created the best brands that you like, that you resonated with, that you have worn or would like to wear?
Yeah, mine are all, I will say ahead of time, mine are all male basketball athletes just because that's kind of where I've kind of lied in
You're
the
a
Nike
basketball
era.
guy.
I'm a basketball fan, and that's most of the gear I purchased is from them, so that's kind of more of my area of expertise.
So I have 2 honorable mentions.
I have one honorable
Who's your honorable mention?
My honorable mention might be surprising is Paul George. He's had a shorter Nike run, but I loved all of his shoes, and all of his shoes were amazing. I like his logo a lot. I think a lot of his merch was great as well. So I'm going to give him an honorable mention to Paul George.
Well, I have 2. One was Kyrie Irving. I know Kyrie's not with Nike anymore, but you can see him leaving Nike or Nike leaving him. You don't hear about Kyrie Irving anymore.
Right.
You used to hear about him all the time. They don't have commercials. You don't see him, so you almost forget about him.
Yeah.
He's still averaging almost 27 points a game.
Well,
but his shoes and his merch was really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my other was Rasheed Wallace. He just did the Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
He had his own brand, but his brand was kind of a fire brand and just kind of a ball don't lie kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I always really like that. So who's your number 5?
At number 5, I probably have a surprising pick for most is LeBron. I think LeBron has a great logo, at least his second iteration of his logo. But I'm not a fan of his shoes really
I am
much at all.
shocked that you picked LeBron James.
I put him at number 5 just because of his legacy. I don't think he deserves.
You have
any
no idea
higher
how
than a
hard
5,
for this
though.
is for him. I mean, this is more impressive than it is that I watch girls basketball. That you have picked LeBron in your top 5 anything is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
He does have a good brand.
I mean, his shoes I think are all terrible, but he does have
He's
good
had some
branding
good ones. You've worn a
surrounding
few
him.
pairs.
When I was a
the
kid,
Soldiers.
one or two, maybe if I'm a separate.
He's
line, but-
backtracking already. My number 5 is Sir Charles, the round mound of rebound. He had some great sneakers in the 90s. Had some awesome shirts. Had some cool shorts they did when he played for the Suns that I used to really like. Some jackets that I really used to like. He had this commercial, I am not a role model. Parents should be role models. And he was just kind of this character. He just was so intense. I loved watching him play. He who's one of my favorite players of all time. So Sir Charles, his collab with Nike, I think was great, and he's still signed with Nike.
Yeah. Okay. At number 4, I have Kevin Durant. In the early 2000s, Kevin Durant had a chokehold on anything basketball. His backpacks were the top selling, his shoes were the top selling. People were wearing his basketball shoes, for streetwear, which is super goofy. But I have Kevin Durant. His shoes have always been great. His gear has always been great, and I like his logo.
Okay. KD, one of my least favorite players. He's like LeBron to me for you. My number 4 is Ken Griffey Jr., the swingman.
Okay.
Griffey had a cool logo. He was the first baseball player to really break into merch and apparel. He like Jordan with the Jumpman, he had kind of an iconic swingman logo. And his sneakers, they made a cross trainer shoe. They're still a highly coveted shoe in the sneaker world. Of course, he played for the Mariners, so he had a lot of those teal colors that people really liked.
Great shoe.
So the kid always had the backwards hat. I always liked Ken Griffey Jr. because of that. So Griffey is my number 4.
My number 3 was one of your honorable mentions. I have Kyrie Irving. Now, I know his Nike stint was short, but I think his gear and his shoes and the creativity he had with all this stuff was amazing.
Super
Definitely
creative.
some of the top-tier stuff that Nike has produced has come from him.
Yeah.
I'm sad that their partnership was so short, but his first shoes especially were all insane. I think his run with Nike was one of the best.
I think it was a mistake for Nike to leave Kyrie Irving or Kyrie to leave them. I don't really know how it went down. I think those two were good.
Yeah.
And I agree, probably some of my favorite basketball shoes that have come out in the last 20 years have been Kyrie's.
Yeah. Well, even with his new collaboration with Anta, I think that's still one of my top shoes of the year that has released so far.
Yeah.
It's a great shoe.
My number 3 is the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. Love his sneakers. There's a few pairs that I don't love, but the branding behind him, the merch that he does, his logo is really cool.
Yeah.
And obviously just the mentality of Kobe and the way Nike captured that when he got hurt. The high shoes that they made for him for his ankle. And then he had, people questioning, and he made that shirt that said rings, and it had 5 rings on it. And just the cool stuff that Nike did with Kobe was solid. And of course, we miss Kobe. And his shoes are still selling to this day, and his merch still sells even beyond his life.
Well, at number 2, I also have Kobe. He's my number 2.
Kobe Bean.
I just love his branding around it and the mentality that he had with his branding. And I think, the whole snakeskin thing is cool too. It's hard to beat that.
My number 2 is going to surprise you because it's not a player.
Okay.
It's a team.
Okay.
The Fab Five.
Oh, wow.
The Fab Five brought out the black Nike shoes, the black Nike socks.
Yeah.
They introduced it. And then the baggy shorts, which nobody had done before them. They were wearing the little bun huggers, Zeekers, we called them.
The bald heads.
They brought out the bald heads. They just made this iconic look that was kind of like paired with hip hop culture at the time. And man, young kids started wearing the long shorts, and then it got crazy. They started sagging them down below their pants, and that got a little nutty. But what they did with Nike for the University of Michigan, it was my team, and the stuff they were wearing was so cool. And so the Fab Five, I think their collab with Nike was amazing.
All right, at number 1, and if it weren't
Probably
for this
the
player,
same for both of us.
If it weren't for this player, Nike would not be around. They were a failing company before him. The GOAT of all categories, Michael Jordan.
MJ.
The shoes, impeccable. The merch, immaculate. The logos, incredible.
Incredulous.
It's
you
just
sound like Mike Tyson right now.
It's just, you can't top it. He's the
No,
GOAT.
MJ stuff is unbelievable. He's my number 1 also. How can you not? Not only he's the GOAT of a basketball player, but his apparel. And really, Nike designed the Jumpman logo.
Yeah.
But it's transcended Nike. Now he really has the Jordan brand, which is
Right.
owned by Nike. But now he's sponsoring school uniforms.
The Jordan brand.
The Jordan brand is a Nike brand.
Yeah.
Is a collaboration between the two. Global.
Yeah.
Global. Multi-billion-dollar. Jordan, the first ever professional athlete to become a billionaire, own his own sports team. And so that collaboration with Nike. So you ask yourself, Jordan is unquestionably the GOAT, but man, what got the world talking about Jordan were the shoes.
For sure.
It's got to be the shoes.
For sure.
And then the commercials. So people started realizing he's must-see TV. So people who hated the Bulls and didn't want to be fans, they go watch his games. And what that collaboration did was changed the game.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I think if you're a professional athlete and you're going to get offered shoe deals and apparel deals, I think you got to be selective about who you go. Who's going to tell your story? Who's going to present you to the world the way that's going to resonate with your audience?
Yeah.
And I think we see that Nike, of all the apparel brands, of all the athletic apparel brands, has really done it the best. And we can talk about some other greatest of all team athletes, but just don't have the clout that the Nike athletes get. And so Nike, Caitlin Clark, I'm excited to see it. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with them. And we shall see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch.
All right, Micah. Well, thanks for helping me through this conversation today. And listen, if you're watching, we did write an article about this. It's on our website, azee.co. Go there. You can read that. And a bunch of other articles about what we talk about with branding and marketing and all those things. So follow our blog on az.co. And don't forget to go and like, subscribe, share, follow, get this out to all the people. If you like our content, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments what you think about this collaboration between Caitlin Clark and Nike, and maybe who some of your favorite Nike brands of all time are. And thank you for watching. As my mother always said, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and try something great, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.